Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Jenny Wingrovius. I am the current chair of the worship committee, and I am honored to be our worship host today. I'm super happy to see all of you. I hope everyone's been able to get outside because spring supposedly is sticking around. We'll see if we get a few more cold days.
Come in.
Hi. We love seeing everyone on Sunday mornings, whether you're a member or not. So everyone is welcome to join us for online worship. And if you would like more information about our church, please visit our website, melroseuu.org. Also, if you live in the Melrose area and you need help or support these days, please contact our caring team at caring@melroseuu.org. So, as you might have noticed, I am not Reverend Suzanne. She is off today. So this Sunday, we are honored to welcome the Reverend Kimberly Debus to lead our worship. I will introduce, there she is waving, I will introduce Reverend Kimberly in a moment, but I do have a few announcements today. And I want to give a shout out to our helpers. We have Michelle, who is hosting our chat box. Dan is providing our tech support. And thank you to all of those who will host our breakout rooms for virtual coffee hour later on. So thanks, everybody. So, announcements. Next Sunday is Bridging Sunday, which celebrates the transition of our 2 high school seniors from their high school experience into young adulthood. And this year, all of our youth will participate in sending them off into their future. So please attend next week if you can to honor their continuing journey. Also next Sunday, we have Tara's Zoom baby shower at 3 p.m. We hope everyone received the invitation via email. And in that invite, you can find the Zoom link, as well as a form you can fill out to give them all of your best bits of parenting advice. And there's also a link to their registry. So please participate if you're able at 3 p.m. next Sunday. Additionally, not this week, but next week, we will have a congregation-wide conversation on worship into autumn and beyond. That will be on Wednesday, June 3rd at 7 p.m. Just to clear something up, at the annual meeting where we had originally planned to have this conversation, we had told the attendees we were hoping to move the meeting to this Tuesday night, but we later realized we have to move it to next Wednesday, the 3rd, instead because we were conflicting with other events. So just note that change. At the meeting, we would like to explore ideas around continuing Zoom worship next church year as recommended by the UUA. So we will have a number of focus questions at the meeting. But for now, we ask you to consider a couple things. We ask you to consider how worship has been for you so far. If you are finding it to be rewarding and renewing, are there changes you would like to see from either the technical standpoint or the spiritual standpoint? And finally, do you have any ideas on how we could enrich the worship experience for both ourselves and for newcomers? So we really are looking forward to hearing input from you all. So please attend if you're able to. And then our last announcement is we're very happy to be planning our summer Sundays, where we will come together as a community to explore topics that are interesting and fun and will help us stay connected while these regular Sunday services are paused. We would like all of your ideas on this as well, of what kinds of things you would like to see, and if there is something you personally would be interested in leading. In our midweek update this week, Reverend Suzanne gave 2 excellent examples of what types of things we could do. One example was watching a TED Talk called The Surprising Science of Happiness, which we could then discuss together for about 20 minutes. Or we could do something like read our favorite poems to each other and share our interpretations. There are so many possibilities of what we can do to explore things that are relevant to us, to our community, and to our faith as a whole. So this is really a good space for us to be creative, and to enjoy our time together. So if you have ideas, please email me at jennybella, Jennie, Bella @gmail.com, and keep an eye on the midweek update, as well as we might send a couple other emails about this, just to see how this idea is developing. And please check the midweek update regularly just to keep up with all the things that are happening. So now, let me introduce you all to Reverend Kimberly. Reverend Kimberly works as a community minister based in upstate New York, inspiring an artful and art-filled faith. She consults with congregations and religious professionals and provides sabbatical ministry support throughout the denomination. She has previously served at the Church of the Larger Fellowship, as well as congregations on Long Island and Key West. So we are very excited to have Reverend Kimberly here. So now we can start our worship in our traditional way of greeting one another. So please take a moment to scroll through all those windows and look at everyone's wonderful face, and please wave and smile and say good morning.
Lost it all. Oh boy.
James, is someone chasing you?
Still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In dark and rain, sorrow and pain, still you remain, singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing. Still you remain, singing.
We begin with these words from Gretchen Haley. Here is a time to strengthen the soul, to practice showing up and sitting still with only your breath and your body, to find in yourself in this moment, in this community, enough, more than enough. For even now our bodies are making plans and our anxious hearts have begun preparing to leave. We come to learn new habits, to break the pattern where even joy can transform to busyness, and even beauty can feel like something we need to escape. Here we practice holding space for our lives just as they are, to believe we matter this much already. We come to feel the passing of time, to let time do its work, and grace to wash over with a possibility of healing, hope, wholeness for everyone, to give thanks for this holiness that cannot be made, but only received and praised and passed on. Come, let us worship together. It appears that, there we go.
This is Gretchen Locke. I'll offer a reading for our chalice lighting this morning. The words are by Crystal Hogan. In the presence of the fire, we hear the voice of our God, of our goddess, of our holy. You are on sacred ground. In the presence of the flame, in me, in you, and us, moving, resting, gathering, we are on sacred ground. In the presence of this fire, we are compelled to take up a torch, to carry a flame, to seek a sacred ground. In the presence of this spark, we are committed to the light of passion, of life, of holy work, to journey towards truth on sacred ground.
I invite you now to sing into your spaces with Tara this beautiful hymn for the beauty of the earth.
Please join me in singing our opening hymn, For the Beauty of the Earth.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Source of all truth we raise, this our hymn of grateful praise, for the joy of ear and eye, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight. Source of all truth we raise, this our hymn of grateful praise, for the wonder of each hour, of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light. Source of all truth we raise, this our hymn of grateful praise, for the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild. Source of all truth we raise, this our hymn of grateful praise.
I now invite you to speak the words aloud, the words of our covenant with one another. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is our great covenant, one with another and with our God.
Trouble that drove before the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung, through every land, by every tongue.
I'd like to share a poem and some thoughts with you. This is a story I like to call Halfway. It begins with this poem by A. Milne, the man who created Winnie the Pooh. He writes this: halfway down the stair is a stair where I sit. There isn't any other stair quite like it. I'm not at the bottom, I'm not at the top, so this is the stair where I always stop. Halfway up the stairs isn't up, and it isn't down, it isn't in the nursery, it isn't in the town. And all sorts of funny thoughts run round my head. It isn't really anywhere, it's somewhere else instead. As a child, I loved this poem. I'd try to sit on the halfway step. In our house, it was the 7th one up. But it never really was quite the right place. Too many people coming up and down the stairs and too far away from where all the good stuff was happening, in the kitchen and on the porch. I say porch because that's what we called it, because it started off as a porch. But when I was 10, my mom and dad decided we needed a family room. And so they replaced the screens with sliding glass doors and put in a small wood stove that kept the room warm year-round. The porch was the hub of our lives, and I liked being in it, but I also liked being not quite in it. When it was cold out, I'd slide myself into a little nook underneath a shelf in the next room, where I could hear everyone doing the things they do in family rooms, but where I could read or listen or think. I'd be kind of halfway in the porch and halfway in the rest of the house. And when it was warm, there was another halfway place, a big rock. Big, huge rock. This rock was near the edge of our yard where the woods began, but not quite. It had some bushes around one side of it, and it sloped a bit, so I could lie down on the rock and read or listen or think. I was close enough to the house to hear and sometimes see my mom and dad if they were in the garden or mowing the lawn or doing stuff on the porch. I'd be kind of halfway at the house and halfway in the woods. Maybe you have places in and around your house that you like to go to read, to listen, to think. Maybe it's a nook under the stairs or a big comfy chair or against a tree in the yard or on a particular stair somewhere. Maybe you aren't sure yet where your place is, and that's okay too. You'll know it when you find it. And whether you know what your place is or are just beginning to imagine what it might be, maybe draw it, describe it to someone you love, and together honor that special place. Let us now take a pause in our busy days to be present to ourselves, a time for each of us to reconnect to the ground of our being in this sacred space that we create together in worship. As we enter this time of prayer and meditation, I invite you to take your hands from the keyboards and settle into your chair and breathe. We begin with our centering song, which is followed by a moment of silence. And then we return our attention to this community as we share our ritual of joys and sorrows and conclude with a pastoral prayer. So let us breathe again as we enter this quiet time with our centering song.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. 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 I know my fear will I know this fear will I know this rose 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 will I know this fear 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 will I know this rose 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 will I know this fear 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 will I know this rose 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 will open.
And now let us breathe into silence. We invite you now to a time of sharing our joys and sorrows. And if is it Michelle who will read these aloud as I light candles?
Good morning, everyone. Type your candle in the chat box if you would. Begin it with the word candle, and we'll go from there. First up, we have a candle of concern from Donna C. for my mother who fell on Thursday and fractured her pelvis. She is now in rehab. From Brian K., we have a candle of joy, cheesecake, and good friends. From Lisa W., a candle of concern for John as he moves closer to needing kidney dialysis. From Florence C., a candle of support for my friend Elisa, who lost a dear friend Ross to cancer. From James I., a candle of joy for Reverend Kimberly, Dan, Gavin, and all the other helpers who gave Reverend Suzanne and me a chance to be civilians this Sunday. From Jane and Chuck F., a candle of sorrow for my colleague Anatoly, who was laid off and will be leaving us in a few days. He told us this week he had moved his wife to hospice care. From Joyce R., a candle of concern, please, for Michael Venti, who has cancer. Michael worked very diligently to keep the Saugus UU Church open for many years. From Mary D., a candle of joy. The Melrose UU Quilters received a very generous donation of fabrics. Thanks to Donna and Sonia for bringing the fabric to Melrose. From Cheryl R., a candle for the things that we're missing out on this year. Dance recital, pool time, Memorial Day activities. From Tiffany, we have a candle of joy for days of sunshine. And we'll just take a breath and ask Reverend Kimberly to light one more candle for all the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken.
Thank you. Now I invite you into a time of prayer. We pause to draw our attention to the sacred ground that is the burial places of those who lost their lives during times of war. The soldiers, sailors, and other military personnel who fought wars they did not begin, who gave their lives for purposes not their own. It seems strange this year to talk about Memorial Day while we are grieving the nearly 100,000 Americans who have died so far because of COVID-19. And yet we cannot forget that all life is so precious, and senseless loss to disease or to war is so untenable, so hard for us to wrap our heads around. So we breathe and hold space, pausing to remember, envisioning those cemeteries across the nation that mark the loss of life to war. We remember those in our family, now and in generations past, who died in a war. And we pray. Spirit of life, whom we have called by many names in thanksgiving and in anguish, bless the poets and those who mourn. Send peace for the soldiers who did not make the wars, but whose lives were consumed by them. Let strong trees grow above graves far from home. Breathe through the arms of their branches. The earth will swallow your tears while the dead sing no more, never again. Remember me. For the wounded ones and those who receive them back, let there be someone ready when the memories come, when the scars pull and the buried metal moves, and forgiveness for those who were not there for our ignorance. And in us, veterans in a forest of 1,000 fallen promises, let new leaves of protest grow on our stumps. Give us courage to answer the cry of humanity's pain, and with our bare hands out of full hearts, with all our intelligence, let us create the peace. Blessed be, Ashe, and Amen.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Whoa, yeah, yeah. 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 We are cool. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. We are cool. Whoa, yeah, yeah.
Today's reading is Everything is Waiting for You by David White. Your great mistake is to act the drama as if you were alone, as if life were a progressive and cunning crime with no witness to the tiny hidden transgressions. To feel abandoned is to deny the intimacy of your surroundings. Surely, even you, at times, have felt the grand array, the swelling presence and the chorus crowding out your solo voice. You must note the way the soap dish enables you, or the window latch grants you courage. Alertness is the hidden discipline of familiarity. The stairs are your mentor of things to come. The doors have always been there to frighten you and invite you. And the tiny speaker in the phone is your dream ladder to divinity. Put down the weight of your aloneness and ease into the conversation. The kettle is singing even as it pours you a drink. The cooking pots have left their arrogant aloofness and seen the good in you at last. All the birds and creatures of the world are unutterably themselves. Everything is waiting for you.
If you've ever been to England, you've probably been to Stonehenge, the most famous circle of standing stones in the world. No one is for sure how they got there or what they mean, although there are some solid theories and ideas about marking time and performing ancient rituals. Stonehenge is so famous that there are guided tours and amenities. And except for the summer solstice, the site is roped off and, well, no one can get to the stones. I'm not gonna lie. When I visited in 2003 in the company of an English friend, it felt, well, boring, really. Sure, the stones are amazing and the engineering to make them happen is fascinating, but I realized I'd rather watch a documentary with earnest archaeologists explaining it to me. For me, it didn't feel very sacred. I said this to my companion, who replied, "Well, now we'll go see the real thing." He drove us to a little town nearby called Avebury. Now, Avebury also has standing stones in concentric circles, but instead of an attraction, the stones are literally part of the village. They are on the commons, between homes and fields along the roads, and every single one of them is there for you to touch, which we did. Now, we didn't start off intending to, but after touching the stones at the center of the circles, and then walking around the next circle of stones and touching all of them, it became clear that they were calling to us, that something asked for our presence. When we finished with all but the Adam and Eve stones that were in a fenced-off field, I felt as though I had been in sacred space, on the edge of something, in touch with mystery. It was many years later that I learned of a concept called thin places, a concept that comes from the Celtic culture. Geographically, thin places are found in places of transition, where the ocean meets the shore, on a mountaintop where the earth meets the sky, where woods meet meadows, where a bridge crosses a river, where wilderness meets civilization. These are not always very exotic and in fact are rarely so. Yet something changes in those places of transition and we can feel it. Now in the Celtic tradition, it's thought that these kinds of spots are where this world and the realm of the spirit come together. As theologian Timothy George writes, the distance between heaven and earth shrinks and time and eternity embrace. A thin place is where the veil between this world and the next is lifted for a moment, and it may be possible to get a glimpse of what one's life is all about, and perhaps what life itself is all about. Now, these thin places, well, they're different for everyone. My thin place, Avebury, yes, but also the rock on the edge of the woods at my childhood home, and a particular spot on Wells Beach in Maine. These are not yours, but they could be. Your thin place is the one that calls you, draws you into itself, and transports you into the presence of something. Mystery, spirit, earth, God, the infinite all. But that presence of something beyond you, you'll know it by how you feel. You'll notice a change in the air, a spidey sense, a certain calm, a brightness, a clarity. And when you do, good luck describing that feeling. This is where language fails and talk is cheap. I can't describe adequately what I felt touching those standing stones, why I felt compelled to do so, what I learned about myself and my connection to ancestors, because our spirits learn differently than our minds do. Unitarian Universalist minister Alison Cornish says that these experiences are ineffable. They can be explained only in the language of metaphor and symbol. We cannot say exactly what happened, only that it was like something else. These moments are transient. They come and go quickly, and they are passive. The moment happens to us, we don't create it. The experiences connect with our intellect and leave us with the sense that we know something we did not know before. These are not moments that can be planned or orchestrated. They come unbidden, but are usually welcome. These moments are important. We are too often only in our heads, and even more so in this time of pandemic, when the boundaries of work and school and shopping and travel and entertainment and comfort are badly blurred. We long for embodied experiences where words don't matter and our bodies and spirits do. But we work and play and worship on our devices, and we see and hear and engage each other without feeling each other's presence. And the only sights we see are those in our homes, outside our windows, and on occasional trips to the market. And if we're essential workers in hospitals, shops, and other essential services, our travel to and from work is commonplace and fraught. Our spirits are tired and aching, as much as our bodies and as much as our minds, as we try to make sense of this new world and dwell in this time of unknowing. More than ever, just when we can't access them, we need places that offer a bit of sacred in this incredibly profane time. So how do we do it? How do we make spaces for our spirits to learn and grow and play when our physical spaces are so limited and thin places are so hard to come by? I invite you to lean into your memories of what you might call your thin place. Where is that place? Let's pause for a moment for a short guided meditation to make space for you to find it and remember it. So we begin, of course, by breathing. And as you breathe, unfocus your eyes or close them. Imagine a door. Imagine the door looking like a door that is enticing you, that is interesting. On the door it says, "Here is your place, a place of rest and peace and wisdom and inspiration." You breathe one more time, ready yourself, and open the door. Look around at what is on the other side. Perhaps the place you are seeing is a place that is meaningful to you, a place from your memory. Maybe it is well known or a fleeting sense of having been there before. Maybe it's something new, something unknown, a place to explore. And as you see this place, etch details into your memory. The sounds, the visions, the colors, the feel of the air. And you hear this voice, still and small, deep inside you, deep inside this hallowed ground of your rememberings. Be present to the voice and be present for the wisdom waiting for you. And now we breathe as we come back, focusing again to being with each other. Perhaps you didn't call it a thin place when you first encountered that place, but maybe in the meditation you remembered this place that felt sacred to you. Or as you think about places you've been, there's one that seems to stick with you. Write about that place. Find pictures of it if it exists. Draw pictures. Tell other people about it. And then gather any items you might have from that place or remind you from the place and create an altar or a shrine. The gathering of items doesn't have to begin, or doesn't have to be big. My little shrine to Avebury is a rock. When I touch it or look at it, I remember that it was one of the many at the base of one of the standing stones near the stone wall that was near the inn. And you may already have gatherings of items, altars or shrines, or just collections of items on a table or shelf. We are all made of the stuff of earth, and there's a reason that material objects like stone and bread, water and candles show up so often in our rituals. They keep us grounded in this world as our spirits engage with mystery. I also invite you to explore the place you are in right now. Move around your home, sit in different places, clear out a corner. As you do, maybe you'll find the spot where some peace can intrude, and awe and wonder too. It might be halfway down the stairs, or under a shelf, or in a blanket fort. These days I'm finding it in the rocking chair in the living room, a room we don't very often use when we don't have company. It is a place where I can sit and think and feel a little bit of that something. This matters for our mental health, for our emotional and our spiritual health. We need all the thin places we can get to be ourselves, to be present to ourselves, to find peace and comfort, to pause and find refuge. As the Irish poet John O'Donohue writes, "You have traveled too fast over false ground. Now your soul has come to take you back. Take refuge in your senses. Open up to the small miracles you rush through. Become inclined to watch the way of rain when it falls slow and free. Imitate the habit of twilight, taking time to open the well of color that fostered the brightness of day. Draw alongside the silence of stone until its calmness can claim you." Amen. And now invite you to join in our closing song.
Winds be still, storm clouds pass and silence come. Please grant this time with harmony. Thy bird of hope and shine light of love, and in calm let love find tranquility. Bird fly high, lift our gaze toward distant views, help us to sense life's mystery. High and pure, and lead us each to see how we move through the winds of eternity. Light shining, illuminate our inward view, help us to see with clarity. Shine bright and true, so we may join our songs in new sounds that become full symphony.
We close with more beautiful words of John O'Donohue from his poem For Equilibrium, a Blessing. Like the joy of the sea coming home to shore, may the relief of laughter rinse through your soul. As the winds love to call things to dance, may your gravity be lightened by grace. Like the dignity of moonlight restoring the earth, may your thoughts incline with reverence and respect. As water takes whatever shape it is in, so free may you be about who you are, about who you become. As silence smiles on the other side of what's said, may your sense of irony bring perspective. As time remains free of all that it frames, may your mind stay clear of all it names. May your prayer of listening deepen enough to hear the depths of the laughter of God. Go in love, go in joy, go in peace.